Hey everybody, this is Rosemary Bauman at Beargrass Creek State Nature Preserve, and we're going to check out the wetlands today. Behind me is a slough full of water still, and it won't hold water all summer, but the reason it's holding water now is because it's part of the historic channel of the South Fork of Beargrass Creek. And the creek isn't there anymore, but the water is. Okay, so we're down here in the bottomland at Beargrass Creek State Nature Preserve, and I'm standing in one of the sloughs that are part of the old bed of Beargrass Creek. And behind me you can see that there's a lot of algae growing on top of the water, and it's drying up, but this held as much as 2 to 3 feet of water all winter. In fact, this site that we've got right here is the only place I know anywhere around that has a population of a beautiful wetland plant called lizard's tail, Sorurus cernuus. And you can see they're all sticking their little leaves up. Our wetland plant, Sorurus cernuus, which has beautiful plumes covered with white flowers that kind of nod over, hence the name lizard's tail. And we've still got at least a few weeks to go before these are in full bloom, but they sit happily in standing water. What you can see is that the creek meandered along the base of this slope, so we're pretty sure that this was where Beargrass Creek lay once upon a time, because it wound around the lower part of these slopes before you go around the bend, and then you come to where the creek was channelized along Newburgh Road, and it still winds around the base of the hill, but now it's in a deep channel. So this is more characteristic of what you would see with a natural unchannelized creek, which when it was full of water, it would have spread out widely and covered most of these bottomlands. Now, I think the reason why you see a differential in the water levels now, though, is because a berm was placed over here that we were walking on. It's a historic roadway called Prather Road, so it separates the two parts of the historic creek channel, and now we've actually got a water level that's higher over here than we do over here. Okay, so we're going to check out this slough, or probably a better name for this would be an ephemeral wetland, because it's going to go away soon. It's been holding water all winter, and you have these beautiful butterweed plants over here, Senecio labella. What's cool about this place is I really can't think of anywhere else in urban Louisville where you're going to find wetlands of this extent. In fact, what most cities try to do, especially early in their history, is get rid of every possible wetland, because they're places where mosquitoes breed and disease is carried, to the population. So Louisville was one of those kind of places back in the day. If you had enough money, you wanted to get out of there in the summertime, so that's what folks did. But we have a little bit of these historic wetlands remaining, so this one looks pretty quiet, but I'm gonna scoop down in there anyway and see if anything. I see lots of isopods. They're squirming around in that bare area in the middle of the net, also known as freshwater shrimp. So probably this whole thing is full of these. These are really important critters down low on the food chain that feed birds, other invertebrates, small vertebrates. They can be just hugely abundant, and they really do. They squirm along in the water just like little tiny shrimp. Sometimes they're called side swimmers. So we know there's lots of those in here. I'm going to try a couple of more scoops. I'm not sure how deep I should go. Whoa! Good thing I got the boots on. I'm going down even deeper. Just going to try another random scoop here. again, I'm seeing lots of little isopods. I'm not seeing anything else. What's really cool about these little guys is that they're aquatic critters, and yet at least half of the year this is dry in here, so they have to have adaptations to survive that. They've got to be able to go down into the mud or into underground passageways that may hold water. In fact, some of these have evolved to have different forms of the same species. One is a cave form and one is a more, surface aquatic form. So you can see how that would have happened. I'm seeing lots of sycamore seeds laying on the surface of the water, which, see these little guys, I'm going to show you some of these. So this is the perfect kind of way that sycamore seeds get dispersed and basically grow. They fall into water, they get transported by water, and then they like to land on very bare mud or scoured stream banks. It's very hard to grow that tree unless it's bare soil and full sun. So hopefully with so many dead ash trees like that one right there, we might get some baby sycamores coming up in here. Okay, we're at slough number 3. Just saw a female dragonfly laying her eggs in here. And this slough also looks to be part of the historic bed of Beargrass Creek. We've got some huge cottonwood trees growing in here. You can see they're waving their leaves way up high over top of this slough. So I'm going to get in there and muck around again. We're so lucky today because it's too early for the mosquitoes. There's no doubt that these sloughs are the home to lots and lots of little baby mosquito larvae. And I don't know if I should say this, I don't know how many people know that there's this much standing water right in the middle of town, but it's okay. It's an ephemeral wetland. To tell the truth, you don't need an ephemeral wetland to get mosquitoes in your yard. A few drops in your gutter will do the trick for your whole yard, so at least something's eating them in here. And that's what I'm looking for, some of the eaters, like salamander larvae, and of course later it'll be the dragonfly larvae. I don't see anything, and that's good. Not seeing. This is such a big slough that stuff might be really spread out. I'm going to pull some of this back with my hands and see if I see anything moving out. It's very fresh water. Doesn't smell like, swamp scum or anything like that. It might later on when it's drying up more. Oh, there's a salamander larva right there. I can try to catch it. Now this one looks like a different species. Catch this one. Did I get you? I don't think I was fast enough. They're really good at feeling that predator coming at them, right there, and they wait till the last minute. But we will find one any minute now. Two main species in here, I think, are cave salamander and stream salamander. Cave look kind of small and black as babies, but as adults, they're gorgeous, bright orange with black spots on them. This kind of slough has so much shelter, I suspect that we're not seeing all that many of them because there's so many great shelter spots. But I know a place where they're a lot easier to get to. Lots of nice algae. Now you can see this is a very sunny spot because there's all this algae. Interestingly, before the ash trees started to die, we didn't really see algae on these ephemeral wetlands. So the ecosystem has kind of been boosted up by that extra sunlight coming in. I definitely want to check out that sunny area over there and see if it has any differences. Because it's, you know, getting so much more light and warmth. Oh, there's a big one. I'm going to see if I can get that sucker. Probably not, but at least I see where it is. Oh, there he is. I see his body. He looks like he's too big to dig down very easily. Get him? I got him. Okay, nice. I'm going to put him in here where we can get a look at him. This is a big guy. Okay, sorry about all the mud there, Buster. This one has got legs on both ends. You can see there's still gills on the body. It's got a big head. It's a chunky salamander larva. The main salamanders, like I said, that I see here, there's actually 3, but the 2 main ones that I see the most are the stream side and the cave. And the reason I think this one is the stream side is because it's quite a bit larger and chunkier than the smaller black ones that we see in here, which are probably the, you see him okay? Yeah. So, I mean, Beargrass Creek is just rotten with salamanders, I'm telling you. And again, it could be that in the absence of fish or frogs in here, that these guys are, you know, have a pretty happy life. Not so much predation. I'm going to pour out most of the water so you can see what we've got there. Let's see if I can get him. There you go. There's, whoa, he's still squirming. Ooh, ooh. There he is. You can see his body pretty well there. Now, I say he, and I know that is very, very sexist. It's just something that we were all taught. I have no way of checking the gender of salamanders, so. See the gills working when the water's shallow like that. Yeah. Okay, kiddo. So I'm gonna let this one back because I suspect we're gonna see some more. Okay, well here you go. Be friends. Back in. Now this is more like, I guess I would call it an ephemeral stream, because it really does carry water sometimes. In fact, it dumps right into Beargrass Creek, just a little ways down there. And as we follow it, we're going to find little areas of pools that have been cut off, probably. Of course, I'm sure when you're tracking these pools, you've got raccoons coming down here and lapping them up. Like some raccoon tracks right here. Nice one with claws. Ooh, this looks interesting up here. We've got a spot. Okay, looks like we've got a cave salamander larva here, probably. Right. Running. This one's not in a hurry to go under. That's good. Ooh, fast. A few weeks ago, I performed a salamander rescue on one of these pools when we had that real dry spell. There was a pool, and they were very obviously stressed, and it was going to dry up that night. So I got them all in a bucket with some water, and I took them over to one of those deeper places and dumped them in, you know. Yeah. Doing my part to mess up the ecology, so whatever.
But I'm sure they were happy.
Well, yeah, they got to live another day. Lots of isopods and other tiny, you can just see all that, or amphipods, excuse me, and tiny, probably shrimp. These are, I should say isopods. Technically, they're not shrimp, but they are shrimp-like. We may even see them doing their little side swimming. Now, back in the winter, they were much larger, and I read about these, and there were more adults around then, and now you have mostly the younger generation, so they're quite tiny.
Oh, a deer!
Oh, deer?
Right over there to the left.
Oh, hey, darling, look at you. Look at you go. You can see her big belly.
Oh.
She is with a child or two. So, even though we're not finding them as abundantly in the big pools, they're more sheltered there from this kind of thing, right? So those deep sloughs are probably the really nice habitat holdouts. And despite my efforts to rescue little sallies in drying up pools, I think ultimately they must have been hard to eat. What on earth? Oh, you're going to love this. This is not an earthworm, it's a flatworm, which is like what leeches are like. You want me to pull it out of there? I've seen these before, they're pretty creepy. You're going to love this.
Ew.
Yeah. Okay. Notice how it's a shapeshifter, okay? So, it's like your sci-fi movie stuff. Look how flat that sucker is. So, come on, open up. See the sucker?
Oh, that's awesome.
Sucker part that it would like to stick onto you with. So, I mean, basically, I think we're looking at a big old leech here.
Whoa.
Isn't it cool? This one's pretty sluggish. It's cold and sluggish. They can, oh, okay, it's going to start flexing a little, I think. We're going to wake you up. They're quite flexible.
That is so creepy.
Isn't it? Yeah, they can squinch up or they can stretch out. Ooh, okay, I just stretched it. Oh dear.
That's
Well,
a long
apparently
one.
it's stretchable, yeah. Wow.
Oh yeah, he's already going back up.
I think the word for these is also planarians, the group is called. That's definitely something you don't want to have attached to the side of your head in the middle of the night when you're trying to pull it off.
Or your eyeball.
Your eyeball,
Yeah,
right.
when I
look
see
at
him, I think of eyeballs.
Wow, you can really see that. Okay, he's like, why are you doing this to me? I didn't hurt you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Got a good juicy shot of him.
Woo! All right, kiddo, back in your hole for another day. Oh my God, earthworm heaven. Everybody's running for cover. The snail.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, I just want to say, if you do this at home, kids, you put the log back, okay? For our viewing audience, do not leave it out. Oh, a slug right there. Because, I mean, this is the equivalent of somebody picking your house up from on top of you and turning it upside down and leaving it that way. So, if you wouldn't want someone to do that to you, just think about karma, you know, and realize that you're going to be nice. Almost, now that looks like a beetle there, almost, or something. I don't know what that is. See that shiny thing? Or maybe, I think it's actually the remains of something, maybe. Like the remains of a beetle that got eaten.
Oh yeah.
Wow, it's very, you can feel how much colder it is under this log, too.
Is that a shell there? Right there?
Oh, that is it uninhabited? It feels like it might be inhabited.
Oh,
Yep. It certainly is. And yeah. So if I wanted to be nice to the box turtle that lives up in the pen, I would take a sack
and
and
here
scoop
we have
all
a
these
daddy
guys.
longlegs.
Do you really?
Big,
Oh my!
oh, two big. Yeah, a couple
Oh,
of them.
wow.
They're not coming up on the camera too well.
This
Yeah,
is
they're right here if you
just,
want. There's like two right there.
and I haven't even been seeing them out yet. I think they're just biding their time. That is one very abundant critter later in the season.
Let's move it into
This
here.
does appear to be the
Where are those little
front end
beetles?
of a beetle that got consumed. See how shiny it is.
Yeah, you can make
It
jewelry out of
either
that.
died a natural death or got consumed. You can make jewelry?
Yeah.
Do you want it?
Oh, I can't. Somebody can.
Oh, somebody can. Yeah, well, I guess I should say we are in a nature preserve, so I'm going to put it back. Yeah. People keep asking me about morels, and I'm like, I'm not supposed to take them, but there aren't any here anyway, so. There you go, slug. All right, got some good views
That's
there.
a good find, yeah. Getting some crazy good
it's
footage.
rich. It is rich. Whew. It's so great to see this holding water because this has been a project that I've actually devoted a fair amount of energy to, and a lot of the energy has been in throwing all of this woody debris in here, which is a well-known technique actually for stream restoration. Is they call it putting the wood in the water. So putting fine and coarse woody debris in water definitely improves the habitat for everything from salmon down to your tiniest little isopods and other critters, because they all need the shelter, they need something to feed on. The little isopods are actually, well, they're somewhat omnivorous, but they do eat leaves, woody debris, stuff like that. Yeah, I see them all crawling around in there. So we're getting a slightly different representation of critters at this way. Oh yeah, this was actually the rescue pool a few weeks ago, I think. The Sally rescue pool. It was totally dried up during that one spell. But now it's got water again. So now we're looking at very, very clean water now. This is spring fed, just probably a few hundred feet up from here. And I'm seeing tons and tons of little isopods. Here's one working its way upstream. These guys are definitely indicators of water quality, and a number of species live in real clear stream-fed drainages. There's always a sort of a push and pull in their kind of their inhabitants of the stream. They get washed down, but then they'll work their way back up. You need to sort of kind of going both ways. Wow, this is beautiful, beautiful. I haven't even been paying attention, but look at all the native bees swarming this butterweed right now. A nice early season bloom is definitely giving them lots of good nectar, maybe pollen too. These are all the little tiny native mining bees, and maybe a few other things. Now it's pulled out, but that's actually a good thing. The little salamanders eat it and they shelter in it, so we're not necessarily going to see a lot of them, but it emerges from under there, and it's particularly used by cave salamanders because they will be breeding and laying their eggs a little ways up under that opening, and they're pretty protected up there. The temperature is mild year-round, and then they'll emerge down through the spring. Ooh, that was a big blip. And if the algae wasn't there, but I'm glad it is, you'd probably be seeing lots of them sitting around in the bottom of the pool there. So. And also probably moving down. Well, y'all, hope you enjoyed our mucking around adventure at Beargrass Creek State Nature Preserve, wading through the ephemeral wetlands. Flatworms, little side swimmers, and sallies abound out there. And if you're really brave, you can pull on your knee boots and go out and see what you can find. Check out my blog at oneforestfragment.com, and of course, thank you to the Beargrass Thunder team for making this happen today. It's a beautiful spring day. Come on out for a hike. See ya.